Papa, the wind isn't blowing. I see silvery stuff, and it's coming this way.
Flooding, even in sunny California. All 58 counties in California have declared a flood disaster in the past 22 years. Many lives have been lost, with billions of dollars in damages. The fact is, the risk of catastrophic flooding in California is real. The results? Devastating.
The people who are at risk of flooding in Southern California, probably greater than half.
You can get lulled into a false sense of security thinking if you're in a drought, you're now no longer prone to flooding. Any given year, we can have a serious flood.
When I got to Casita Springs, that wasn't one or two homes flooding. This was a whole community that was really suffering from severe flooding and debris damage coming through.
Flooding could occur anywhere. We get microbursts in the climate here where we get an intense shower in a very local area, which floods people, and they're not even expecting it. There are several types of flooding which people don't understand. Most people think of coastal flooding. You got debris flows. You get the slow rise flooding. There's just so many types of flooding.
Flash flood is a very fast-moving, very dynamic event.
We see trucks go in there, you never find them again. It's not something you want to mess with. Worst case scenario, you lose your life. That's happened here.
Alluvial fans are particularly a problem. Alluvial fans, by their definition, happen when water comes out of the mountains and it wants to spread out. As communities develop, we try to avoid that water spreading out. Problem is, when the capacity of those channels get exceeded, then the water wants to do what it has for hundreds or thousands of years, and that's spread back out over that fan.
If you're in a floodplain and you're affected by a flood, you get hit by a flood, the consequences are dire. I've seen people who, they're not risk averse at all. They buy right at the toe of a dam. You know, they see the emergency spillway, it goes through their backyard.
I think you have to weigh the risk versus the benefits of living in that area and trying to understand how secure it really is. If you are right on the ocean, looks appealing, but you're also putting yourself closer to the risk.
A lot of property, you know, there's just so much pressure to develop floodplains now because of the large population in Southern California. You need to be very concerned.
You have to understand where you're looking to buy, and does it have a history of flood risk? That's what I would check.
I think a real fair question for you to ask people is, what makes my area a flood zone area, so that you can start to assess the risk in terms of what you have.
If you're going to buy property in Southern California, you need to do your homework. Find out what sort of risks you're facing. Probably the best place to go, if you have one, is your local flood control district or watershed protection district in our case. If you don't have one, then you can actually go to the state, and the state can help you assess risks. And FEMA, of course, the FEMA website can help you assess risks.
You could certainly consult with an engineer and have an engineer review the property and look back on history and see if there's been flood history.
If you ever have it happen to you, I'll guarantee you'll wish you spent the few hours it would have taken to be cognizant and be prepared.
We need to have all of the things that FEMA and other Red Cross have put out in terms of their emergency kit, you know, the family members all knowing how to communicate, where are we going to meet, what's the alternate meeting place, who's the alternate contact, all those normal things for any kind of disaster.
It really ends up being a multi-level partnership. The federal government, the state government, and then local agencies like cities, counties, and flood control districts working together to minimize flood risk. But it comes down to individual responsibility as well. And that individual responsibility involves being informed, being educated, knowing where to go, what to do in a flood event, and if you need flood insurance, that you have that to protect your investment and your family.